If I should die, think only this of me. There is some corner of a foreign field that is forever England. There shall be, in that rich earth, a richer dust concealed.
Why you talk like a fag?
Welcome to the Culture Hour with Gabe. This is, of course, Yahtzee Croshaw.
And I'm Queefer Sutherland.
And you're listening to the Show and Tell podcast. Yes, it's got a format now.
Yeah, like a unlicensed doctor, we're churning out another abortion.
That was beautiful. Both of us have 2 to 3 items that the other does not know of as of yet. And we will take it in turns to introduce each item, as you would introduce 2 dogs you intend to mate, and talk about them for however long we feel we can get out of them. Yeah. So, since I introduced it, why don't you go first?
Okay, now I gotta choose. Do I go with the weaker item first or the stronger item? Fuck it, lead with your best foot. Alright.
Well, some say you should end with your best point.
I thought the idea was start strong, finish strong. So maybe you end with your best thing.
Okay, that's gonna be difficult.
Alright, here's my first thing. And it's not about the title of the publication so much, but the publication itself.
It's for the benefit of the listener, it's a copy of Electronic Gaming Monthly with SSX on the front. This must be an old one.
Yeah, well, one that I don't know, is SSX Deadly Descent, which is apparently...
Oh, it's a new one, is it?
Yeah, well, I mean, therein gets to my point. And also, I didn't even have to buy this because I get here and you've got a copy of Hyper. It's not the publication specifically, merely the fact that why... My question is, why does a print media magazine about video games still exist?
That's a very good question. Speaking as someone who writes for and does other things for an online video games magazine thing. Although I did used to write for print video game magazines.
Well, I mean, again, used to.
Yes.
I mean, I used to buy print video game magazines back in the 90s before the internet.
Well, I suppose what there is to be said about them is that they don't have to load.
Yeah, I suppose there's that. They also have, month-old information, no videos, no links to anything else. I mean, that EGM cost me $16, and that's not even to read, that's just to yell about.
Yes, but the batteries will never run out while you're waiting for a bus.
Still not selling me on it, I'm afraid.
I do agree, but I feel motivated to defend it just because I used to write for it.
Oh, no, absolutely. But it wouldn't be if it was, be fucking boring. It was just like, I hate this. I agree. Next topic.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we wanted to avoid.
Well, I mean, I disagree with you on matters of principle just for the sake of it. I mean, if you're going to be a pessimist, I may as well be an optimist. And I do have some more, hopeful feelings toward the, progression of video games and gaming.
Yes, and similarly, I feel I have to lean towards being slightly homosexual.
You too.
Damn.
Shit.
Damn, foiled. But I wouldn't go... I certainly wouldn't go to a print games magazine for my video game news.
I know, and again, this gets back to what is the point of it. I mean, it's like having a magazine called, Internet Fancier Monthly.
Yeah, didn't there used to be that?
Probably, yeah.
Like a magazine that summarized some interesting stuff from the internet.
And that doesn't exist now for a good reason.
Sounds like a late 90s kind of idea.
Yeah, or those horrible, like Tosh Pointer, where it's like an aggregator show that saves me the trouble of going to Reddit and finding links to cats sitting on turtles.
I do remember hearing about some show in the UK that just showed viral videos from the internet, and it just showed how much one loses something when it's being boxed up as a presentation that you're forced to watch, rather than something you go and watch because someone linked it to you.
Yeah, I don't want to see every viral video. Some, if they have a connection to things I enjoy, like people being injured, then yes, I absolutely will watch it. But if it's
the people you know what you like. They'll say, check this out, I think you would like it.
Yeah, that's what Facebook's for, pretty much.
Yes. No, this is moving into why television is also a dying breed.
There is... I do like an aspect of not being in control. There are times when it's I want to sit down and watch, whatever.
I sort of agree. Just sort of sit and let something play.
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe something interesting would come on that you wouldn't have watched otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, there is that. And I do like it sort of just hovering in the periphery.
Yeah, I just like that there's a constant stream of some random thing that's coming into the house.
I think it's like when you leave the radio on so the dog thinks there's someone in the house.
It's like leaving all the doors open so hobos can walk in and out. You might make many interesting new friends.
Get some stories out of it.
Certainly will. But I guess if any form of print media is going to die first, it's the gaming magazine.
I know, and it's 2011. I thought these things were on the way out when I was graduating high school.
Yeah, well, they're definitely on some kind of way out. I mean, there'll always be something people want to read on a plane when they tell you to turn off your bloody electronic devices because apparently the plane will explode or the pilots will just be hypnotized and fly you to Cuba and you'll all become Castro slaves.
Yes, I believe every handheld device maker is actually part of the greater communist plot to take over the world. If I'm not doing something with my fingers at any given point, I just fucking fidget.
Me too, actually. I guess video games have destroyed us, just like our parents said they would.
My life.
I like to... when I'm watching an internet video, sometimes if it's not too visual, like it's mostly audio, like people talking, I'll dig out my iPhone and play Doodle Jump while they're doing it.
No, there was one evening when I was watching Big Trouble in Little China on my TV. I had MAME running on my laptop and I was playing like King of Fighters. And I also had a game going on my iPhone for when MAME was like, when King of Fighters was like sort of loading or going through its little ending sequences.
Well, I think this just points to how active the minds of our generation are. I mean, our parents, my dad in particular, was perfectly happy just vegetating in front of the TV all evening. But we are sharp and smart and incredibly good looking.
Incredibly. If I don't have 14 things occupying my, massively active brain, then I tend to stare and just get idle.
If you don't use it, it atrophies, right?
True.
Like a muscle. You got to be sharp.
This will be how we pilot spaceships in the future. You will have 14 things to pay attention to when you're a space captain.
You see all those futuristic shows where someone's got 16 monitors in front of them and they're tapping away on 5 different keyboards. We'll
training for it now, people. Training for it now.
I mean, video games. People say, they always say that it doesn't really do you any benefit. And even if it didn't, it wouldn't matter because a
hobby's a hobby. It's not. It doesn't have to have a fucking.
No one does something constructive their entire waking life. But the point is, video games do they build on your map reading skills. They can help your reflexes. They can give you twitchy finger. It's true, but at least they keep your mind sharp. I mean, you're going to use your mind a lot more playing a video game than you are watching Mastermind.
Well, and it's active problem solving. It's one thing I've noticed watching people my dad or my mum trying to get them to play video games. And granted, with the Wii, that's easy because all they're doing is the basic spear throwing things that the ancestors would have understood. But
how we're equating the last generation with our spear throwing ancestors.
Pretty much. I mean, back when Dad was a kid running, there was still a guy that came around to empty your toilet bucket out back. Yeah, think about that for a sec.
Did he live in Nairobi?
No, Stafford or something. Queensland was a bit slow. But, it's interesting watching people who don't have, a history of playing video games at all try and work it out, because it's like watching an especially slow chimp trying to figure out, a puzzle box. And
I just realised we sound like absolute cunts. Saying, oh, we are the smart, sophisticated, futuristic elite.
And...
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Argument over.
That, yeah. Fuck it and fuck them.
I'm smarter than you, Dad.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. I mean, if I have a kid and it's not smarter than me, then I've fucked up somewhere.
I got a book published and I didn't even have to self-publish it, Dad.
Well, that's gonna dip down to an ugly road. But no, I mean, it's primate intelligence researchers will do this. They'll give a puzzle box to a chimp and then a puzzle box to a 3-year-old, and they count the different ways they approach the puzzle.
Which one gets eaten first?
I don't think there's any threat of being eaten in it, but anyway, the little girl, humans and primates will basically go through the same number. Primates have a few more because they can use their feet for a few fucking tests, but they don't really count those. And it's interesting watching humans who don't play video games try and play video games, because it's a really good gauge of your basic problem-solving intelligence, because I swear I'll watch, mum or dad push a button, or, some other relative, or anybody who has never really played a game, push a button, it corresponds to an action on screen, and yet they still can't figure the game out. It's basic logic. I don't understand how they can't, through a process of elimination, work out how the thing they're holding in their hand corresponds to the little man on screen.
Well, it does take a bit of getting used to. I mean, you remember the first time you played an FPS with a console controller?
Oh, God, let me go back.
Well, it's
I think
it's
I
difficult.
played Wolfenstein on the SNES.
It does take a bit of adjustment, I find, especially if you're used to mouse and keyboard.
Ah, yeah, but see, that's calibration within the concept. You already know. You go, okay, this corresponds to that. And that's what I mean. Like, that's the problem-solving intelligence coming into play. You understand the problem to, you have a problem-solving intelligence. These people just do not seem to have that.
Well, I guess you're right. We are the super intelligent village of the damned space.
Master race!
Anyway, my turn.
Cool.
And my first item is this.
A fist.
No, it's the thing around the fist.
Oh, a yellow thing.
Yes.
I survived the edge.
Yes.
What, like meeting that guy from U2?
Yes, he's a very violent man.
He hunts the deadliest game of all. Little known fact, actually, that he really does that. Him and Bono have a very terse relationship because he hunts the homeless in Third World.
Yes.
That's a fact.
With a gun.
Yes.
This is absolutely true.
It's absolutely 100% true.
But
the Edge hunts humans.
But the Edge in this context is actually an attraction in Melbourne, which I visited for the weekend a couple of weeks ago. The Edge is an attraction at the Eureka Tower, which is one of the tallest buildings in Melbourne. I think it's the tallest. And you pay like $24 to go up to the viewing deck, the observation deck, so you can look at all the sights of Melbourne from a million miles away and pretend you're, I don't know, Godzilla. But there's an additional attraction called the Edge, which is a small room you pay extra for, and you go into the small room, and all the walls, floor and ceiling are frosted glass. And then you feel the room moving. And then it's the kind of frosted glass that they had in that one Splinter Cell game where
it
becomes transparent or opaque if you run an electric current through it. One of those. So after you felt the room moving, suddenly the glass unfrosts and the entire room that you're in has been moved outside the entire building.
Bugger that.
The wind doesn't care.
That's the instructor probably would.
The guy you're clipped to might care, but the wind is free.
Are you peeing on me? Yes, I don't want to be doing this.
My only regret is that I had to wear my glasses down, so they make you wear goggles over them, and the goggles weren't exactly clean. So I was having to look through slightly smoky glass at the sights below me. And I have this thing that comes from when I was a kid, that if there's glass between me and something else, I'm not entirely convinced it's not a sophisticated virtual reality TV screen. Why does everyone think this is weird? I mentioned this on my last podcast with Yug. Didn't you ever do that when you were like at school and you were on the school bus and you'd pretend the windows weren't actually like windows but sophisticated TV screens and the...
No, because I was outside the bus first and then I got on the bus.
Yeah, but maybe they're like... the screens just happened to resemble the exterior of the bus, and they're moving the bus around and letting you think the bus is moving to the school, but actually the world you live in is a lot smaller than the man wants you to know.
Planets actually are just, 5 city blocks.
I have a similar feeling when I'm in a plane. I just get in, then I'm in a box for 24 hours, and then I'm somewhere else, and for all I know, Britain is just over the next hill.
I got the small world feeling when I went to Japan, but not like it's some sort of bizarre, reptilian plot to make me think my planet's bigger than it is.
Yes, because if you think it's smaller than it is, then they can mine all the areas you don't know about and take them back to their insidious reptile mothership. I never mentioned reptile conspiracy. Why did you bring that up?
Because it's one of those things that just...
Could just be a Osama bin Laden conspiracy. From beyond the grave. Ooh, I'm a terrorist.
Watching the response to that was just ghastly.
Well, let's not digress, but I don't want to be either, the person who crows about the fact that he's dead or the person who crows about not taking joy of anyone's death.
Well, that and, it was... Well, the one thing that got me was this person wasn't a supervillain.
I know. I mean, I do object to the way people were suddenly like... I mean, the scariest thing for me was the story of all those Americans who lined up outside the White House gates and chanted, USA, USA.
Yeah, I know.
Like it was, some kind of intergalactic sporting event.
Yeah, this guy's not Darkseid. He's not looking for the anti-life equation. He's not even Hitler. He's not trying to fucking kill a bazillion people. I love the whole presumption that he hates freedom. No, that was nothing to do with anything. It was to do with, the US's support support of fucking Israel and the of the House of Saud. That was what it was. He said so.
The thing is, in any time of war, the first thing anyone does in the government-controlled media is demonize the bad guy.
Yeah,
dehumanize the bad guy. They were trying to make out Bin Laden as the Martians and War of the Worlds. They view our green and pleasant planet with envious eyes.
Yes, and it's no, that's not what was occurring. The Taliban are a nationalist force, so are most of those other crazy Islamic nutbars. They're just nationalists.
How did we get to this from my lovely yellow armband? I just wanted to tell a lovely anecdote about the lovely time I had in Melbourne.
Well, I will refer back to Dirk Gently when he said you have to understand the holistic nature of all things. Everything is interconnected, no matter how distant.
I suppose you're right. In fact, actually, while we were in the Edge chamber with a couple of other tourists, I brought up this would be a horrible time for terrorists to strike, wouldn't it?
God, you're an ass.
I know.
No, if you wanted to be a real asshole, I'd have grabbed the railings and started shaking the thing.
They specifically tell you not to do that. Or to, bounce up and down on your feet.
Yeah, because seriously, if you had started doing that, I'd have punched you. If I was up there. Already, against my will. If someone started going, hey, 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 and shaking the thing, I'd have fucking thumped them.
The same kind of person is the person who, after you ask them to get rid of a giant spider in your room, then, after the spider is in a glass jar, puts it really close to your face and goes, why? Why?
End of time part 2. Now, bear in mind, in this episode, the Doctor leaps out of a ship flying in atmosphere fast enough to be avoiding surface-to-air missiles, crashes through a skylight, lands, and is just okay.
He does have 2 hearts.
Yes, but they didn't even use any sort of techno-babble to get out of that. He didn't go, well, good thing I had my gravity dampener on me, or Time Lords can absorb, ridiculous impacts like that.
Or he could have wrapped himself in a mattress.
Anything. A fucking, inflatable dinghy like Indiana Jones. Something along those lines.
And that was perfectly scientifically valid.
Well, this is what gets me to my point, is when I'm begging for bad fucking techno-babble just to save the ridiculousness of the plot, you've done something fucking wrong. I mean, hell, the first part of Enter Time starts with the Master being resurrected with Resurrection Potion. They actually use the word potion. And I'm sorry, but when you use the word potion, it ceases to be science fiction.
It's magic.
Yeah, now it's just say magic. Plot device. You may as well just scream plot device in fucking capital letters.
I remember I was talking to my old housemate. We were arguing about space debris. Because he was showing me some anime called Planet Earth, which is a realistic portrayal of space debris. It's about orbital junk out people. Basically, they clean junk out of orbit because apparently
bit of a mess up there.
A single screw in orbit, if it strikes your spaceship, can fuck your shit up. But he was saying, I was saying, well, surely you could get through it if you just had a really, really armored ship. And he goes, no, it's very powerful. And so what if you just moved really fast out of orbit? And says, no, the orbital items move really fast as well. And I got pissed off, so I said, all right, what if you had a ship full of wizards who used their mastery of time and space to get past all the orbital debris? And I don't know why I was suddenly reminded of that conversation. But yes, Doctor Who.
And it ends, and again, Russell T Davies can't write a character you care about, so every season had to end with a threat to the universe. And a threat to the universe in the first season, cool, alright, yeah, that's something that makes me care, because I live in the universe, I have to care about this.
Exactly. Something like that, though, is a dwindling resource, though. Yes. The more times you do it, the less impact it makes.
Yeah, it's what, the universe is being threatened again? Fuck, I thought that wasn't until Tuesday. And that's what happened. And, and every time that happened, the problem was solved with a magic button that just reversed everything back to where it was.
Once you establish that the Doctor is powerful enough to stop the end of the universe, you've kind of crossed a line.
Yeah, and it makes, and again, each time
it happens, you can just say, why didn't you just do what you did last time, smart guy?
Well, they were all slightly different problems, but, it was, the second season ended with, let's reverse the polarity and just suck, no, that was literally it, and just suck everything back into the alternate dimension.
This used to be called Treknobabble.
Yeah, and then season 3 was just retarded. It ended with people praying to the Doctor, which
I remember that.
Conceptually, I don't hate, but the way it was done was just terrible. And then,
well, they made this whole thing there was some kind of telepathic,
yeah. And again, again,
orbital network.
That That I was okay with.
They attempted to explain it.
Yeah, but then, the Master had basically altered the TARDIS to be like a paradox generator to maintain a temporarily impossible state, which is fine. I like that idea. And then this thing is reversed. And again, this is the magic button that fixes everything, is reversed by Captain Jack shooting it. It's not some technical thing, just fucking blast it, it'll be fine, it'll sort itself out. And then the end of time ended with Rassilon trying to get him and the Time Lords back into the regular universe, which would suck because the war has made them all fucking insane and savage. Fine, nice idea. Basically, there's two connections that Rassilon is using to drag Gallifrey back into the universe. One is a connection in the Master's head.
This is getting nerdy, I'm getting bored.
I'm getting to my end. And this will be something that you can talk about, being someone who deals well in fiction as well.
That's true.
Yes, this is what I mean. It goes to greater points about how to structure a plot and how to write. And basically, there's a connection in the Master's head, and there's a connection in a machine. And the Doctor is torn between shooting the machine or killing the Master.
Right.
And both of these are going to fuck Rassilon's plans right the fuck up and end the whole fucking thing that Rassilon's been planning for all this time. Rassilon stands there for like 5 minutes ordering the Doctor to choose. And bear in mind, this whole time Rassilon has a glove that shoots death lightning that we've seen used and that he seems happy to use at a whim.
Maybe he's just got this real paranoia kick.
And, well, I mean, it just drove me insane. It's like, why? There's no internal logic to that. And that's what gets me down to all of Russell T Davies' writing. The only episode he did that was any good was Midnight, because it didn't have any fucking logic to fuck up.
Well...
And I mean, like, okay, you're a,
Yeah, I'm a novelist.
Yes, you're a published author. I mean, am I right, or am I just some angry fan?
Well, you got to have internal logic.
I know, and that's
even if you're working with fantasy and sci-fi, you got to be consistent.
Yeah, the rules of magic have to be the rules of magic,
and you can't really carry a plot with fantasy rules. You got to eventually come down to characters. That's something George Lucas seemed to forget.
He forgot a lot of things.
But you know what? I got turned off Doctor Who during David Tennant's period because I used to watch Doctor Who when it was like Tom Baker and. John
so did I.
In those days, the Doctor was a sort of middle-aged, slightly mindless old duffer who only partially knew how to work the stuff in his care. The TARDIS, pretty much every episode, it was demonstrated that he didn't quite know how it worked, and he was just banging it with a spoon to make it respond. And I don't think in any period before the Christopher Eccleston Doctor, the New Doctor period, did the sonic screwdriver do one thing it was intended to do without a hitch.
Well, it got destroyed by the Terreptiles in Peter Davison's era.
Well, whatever.
And that's my Doctor Who.
The problem I always have when something like is brought back for a new generation of fans is that it's almost invariably being created by the fans. In which case, it's always just a little bit too much in love with itself. Like, it's always saying, like that episode with, the global telepathic network thing with the Master at the end of season, whatever it was, is a perfect example because suddenly the Doctor is Jesus and everybody loves him.
It's fan wank over the Doctor.
Universal love flowing into the Doctor, which turns him into Jesus. Literally Jesus. He then goes on to forgive his greatest enemy. It was... Yeah.
Russell T Davies is not a subtle author.
He seems to be getting younger as well, the Doctor. Maybe they're going to work that into a plot later. That's how, regenerations work. Because he was a fucking old man at first.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
he definitely is getting progressively younger with each...
Credit where it's due with Matt Smith. He does... Well, he plays old quite well, given how young he is.
I bet the 13th incarnation will be like a 12-year-old boy.
But no, I think Matt Smith does manage to carry age. But I mean, in terms of just writing, I mean, that's it's just one of the things. And literally, the last 5 minutes of Russell T Davies' last episode could have just been a shot of him sweatily masturbating, because all it was him congratulating himself on all the stuff he'd done.
I think overall the series was just a little bit too smug.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm like. Like, Moffat can write. He wrote the best episodes out of the first 4 seasons, and now he's actually...
You mean Blink?
Yes, and
I have seen that one.
Yeah, well, that was a fantastic episode, and again, Moffat can write.
You know why? Because the Doctor wasn't in it much. Smug bastard. Smug bastard in his sneakers and suits.
Well, like I said, the point of this is just... I hate Russell T Davies. He can't write, and I'm glad he's gone.
Well, what a point you've made.
Well, I mean,
in all fairness,
there are times when I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, because the thing that got me was just seeing some people going about, oh yeah, he's so great. No, he fucking isn't. Deconstruct his fucking episodes. They're awful.
In all fairness, speaking as a writer, if you are being asked to write an episode a week, of course it's going to suffer. I mean, Stephen Moffat did like one episode every now and again, right?
Yeah. But again, he wasn't writing every episode, so he also controlled. He was a script runner. He wrote a few episodes, like 5 episodes a season, and controlled the overarching plot.
But he could like condense the quality.
Yeah, but he also couldn't come up with a new idea each time.
This is why all the best sitcoms ended after like 12 episodes.
Yes.
Ended on a bang. They were condensed. This is why British sitcoms are good, because they've got series of like 6 episodes apiece.
Yeah, that's what I love. British sitcoms is like, I have a story to tell, it goes for 6 episodes, that's all you're fucking getting. Maybe if you're lucky, you get a Christmas episode.
I think quantity over quality summarizes America pretty well in pretty much all its aspects.
Yeah. On that, I want to start a movement to get The Simpsons cancelled.
Yeah,
this is like euthanizing a dear friend who I'm seeing just suffering immeasurably.
It would be cruel otherwise. I'd have thought the movie would be the logical point to end.
No.
This is a point I actually made in the column I wrote last week. Well, wrote last week that's going up this week, or may already be up by the time this podcast goes out. But my point was, fans do not know what they want. I mean, if there's a really good game, like, let's pick something out of the air, Silent Hill 2, my favourite game ever, then fans are going to say, yeah, we love that, you should make more of it. You should make it. We want to know, like, more stories from, like, the life of James Sunderland, or, like, more Pyramid Head, because he was great. And we all draw pictures of him having sex with big-titted nurses because we're fucking fans. And the moment you do something like that, those very same fans will be the first one to come and say, heard it, not as good as the original.
Don't you do that?
No.
I mean, you don't demand for new things, but you're always complaining that things aren't, things are too similar to what was done.
Yes.
But I mean,
I'm not a fan, is the point. I was never the one saying you should do.
Fair enough.
Should do it again, because people, a story can never have the same impact if you just, tack on another story.
Well, because the story, the experience of it is the only experience you get. Like with a video game, like that's my argument against you in terms of video game sequels. Now, don't get me wrong, I do agree on a lot of points about how they just trotted out and things rely too much on a game as opposed to the creators of the game. So it has to be a new Gears of War or something like that. It can't just be a game made by the studio that did this.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
Well, that's what I mean. That's, Suda 5.1. There's, a few others out there who you can go, hey, whatever kind of game that is on whatever system, I'll have a look at it because I like the guy who made it.
That is my problem with the industry right now. People should follow names rather than franchises.
But I mean, like, with a video game, the mechanics of its gameplay and how you interact with it are beyond the plot. So I can have something that's basically plotless or stupid, like Resident Evil 4. I loved that game. I fucking played it to death.
Yeah.
Stupid fucking story.
I think it's the best Resident Evil game.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because it's a tangential story to the larger Resident Evil canon, which quickly fell into complete bullshit after the first game.
Which is, a big achievement considering the first one was pretty good. Complete bullshit.
It was.
But I mean, that's the thing.
I never really understood why people liked the first one.
Yeah, novelty. But I mean, that's the thing. With a passive medium, the story is your only point of interaction with it. So if you just retell the same story, it's pointless and dull. And it's like, well, I've been here before. What am I getting? With a video game, you can basically retell the story or tell no story whatsoever and still have an enjoyable experience because the gameplay itself is a larger part of the interaction.
As many will know, I like a game that balances story and gameplay.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love both, but I'm just saying I can play a game that has good gameplay and no story, but I can't sit and passively enjoy something that has no fucking plot.
I just wish more developers saw sequels as an opportunity to really expand on the concept rather than just wallow in the original. I mean, Silent Hill 2, when that first came out, the fans complained that it wasn't about the characters in Silent Hill 1, and they shut their big twatty mouths pretty quickly.
You shut your whore mouths!
Because it really, really elevated the concept, and that's what a sequel should do. Moving on, my next item, and I thank you not to mention the company name associated with it.
Easy. Coffee.
Yes, or rather, a branch of takeaway coffee that I like to get most days.
Cool, so it's your local coffee place you get your morning coffee from?
Yes.
Alright.
Mentioning no names further. Now, would you consider me a socially adjusted fellow? I'll take that as a no.
Dude, I've seen your collection of headless Barbie dolls.
Yes, those things that I have. But yes, every day I like to go out and get my morning coffee. I'm probably conditioned my metabolism now because I start to feel really rotten around 10 a.m. if I haven't had my morning cap.
The sweet Jones of addiction.
But how it usually worked was that I'd go first to the bakery that's quite near my coffee place and buy a nice Danish that they have there, and then I'd go to my coffee place with Danish in hand and get my takeaway coffee. And that worked fine for quite a long time.
The system worked?
Yeah, the system worked. But then, one day, I got to my coffee place and found they'd started selling Danishes. And for a socially maladjusted fellow like me, you could imagine what sort of doubt and paranoia started to creep into my mind. They've frequently seen me come to this coffee place with a Danish in bag.
Yeah, they wanted to get some of that sweet Yahtzee Danish money.
So I have this horrible feeling. They came and sat down amongst themselves and said, hey... People keep coming in here with a Danish from the bakery and getting a coffee. Perhaps we should start selling Danishes. Perhaps there's a niche we're missing out on here. And now every time I do buy a Danish from the bakery and get the coffee from the place, I feel kind of awkward about it. I have to hide my Danish behind my back while I'm paying in case someone points a finger like that guy at the end of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Because I did try one of their Danishes, but it wasn't very nice. And now I feel really bad for them because I like their coffee. And what would you do in my shoes?
Okay. I love how I'm egocentric.
Yes, we know that.
But I love how basically every alteration that happens in the world around you is somehow linked to some direct aspect of your behavior.
Yes, this is the mind of the paranoid.
Yes. What was the other one that was... there are a few that I will support you on. I think Android nicked your imp fucking thing for their logo.
See, I'm actually a little dubious about that.
Really? Because it fucking looks like your thing.
My imp, we should say.
Yeah.
The Google Android logo is a sort of R2-D2E robot with limbs coming off, which visually is extremely reminiscent of the visual style of the imps from Zero Punctuation that I do, and some people have suggested that maybe they might have specifically ripped me off, but I'm not totally convinced because it is quite a simple design.
Yeah, but God, it looks like it.
Well, this is a case of you being more paranoid than me all of a sudden.
This is the person assuming their local coffee shop has altered their business practice because of your, interest in Danishes.
Well, I was in there just today, and they said they see me in there every day. They know me by face. Clearly, I'm a valued customer. Oh, actually, that's the point, because I've had the worst luck in there with them just losing my food order.
You just keep on coming back for that punishment.
I just sit there and wait for 20 minutes, but to their credit, they'll notice when I'm waiting, and they'll come over and say,
we fucked up your food again.
They usually say something like the receipt printing thing didn't print properly, so we didn't get your food order, but we'll give you an extra coffee for the wait, or they'll give me a loyalty card with the stamps filled out, which is nice.
Yeah, fair enough,
The same thing happened when I was at the coffee club in the city yesterday for lunch. They just lost my docket that I'd put my order on.
Somewhere Markov Cheney is just following you around and hiding your goddamn, coffee house receipts and dockets. Just out of spite.
There weren't many people there, and I started cataloguing all the people who'd come in and were somehow being served their orders before me.
Yeah.
So after a few of those, I started doing that, please notice me, I'm waiting sort of sitting.
You're very
stance.
tall, it's hard not to notice.
Well, I was sitting down.
Yeah.
And most of my height is in my legs, so I've noticed a lot of people are taller than me when we're both sitting on the same thing.
Do have long legs.
I did that thing where, you're constantly looking back at the counter and going, drumming your fingers, waiting to be noticed. Because
looking at your clock,
if you're me, you will never in a million years actually go up and complain.
Well, not complain, but you just go, hey, I was just wondering... feed me! Feed me!
Like a rabid, passive-aggressive non-smoker next to people having a fan.
I find those people more annoying than people just ask where their fucking food is. And quote Bill Hicks, wow, that's a bad cough you got there. Good thing you don't smoke.
I hate emotions.
You're Vulcan. The problem I always had with Vulcans was they're not in control. It's like an alcoholic. An alcoholic who's dry is not in control.
Well, the Vulcans were, like, just severely repressed.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, if you...
It's like being English. That's why there's so many violent skinheads in England, because...
it goes one way or the other.
We teach our people to have a stiff upper lip, be reserved and sensible.
And when that finally snaps...
And don't show emotion. That's not how a true Englishman rolls. You only show emotion when a man kicks a ball between two goalposts. That is
he got the thing between the things!
That is the only time.
No, I mean, that's the thing. Like, control is not absolute abstinence. That's not control. You have to be able to engage in the thing in a controlled fashion to be in control.
Well,
otherwise, you're a dry alcoholic, and a dry alcoholic's not in control.
Well, of course, the Vulcans had their pon-far business, didn't they? Well, they'd just go absolutely nutsoid every now and again.
Yeah, again, that's indicative of my point, is, you're not in control. If you're in control, you should be able to drink a little bit and control it. That's the thing. An alcoholic's not in control. That's why, the old term for, Narcotics or Alcoholics Anonymous is you're never not an addict. You're only ever in recovery. You're never cured of what the problem is.
Yes. I could stop drinking coffee every day any time I like. Now, chocolate, on the other hand...
Yes, you're twitching already. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the things I brought were way better. Like, I don't think you even tried. Like, because here I am thinking, alright, shit, I actually have to, I'm gonna have to bring something good. Yahtzee has tons of interesting crap to talk about.
What?
And you brought, like, the coffee you got when we met earlier today.
It was to illustrate the point I wanted to make.
Alright, I'm just...
And I think this armband's quite interesting.
I know,
it was the only souvenir I got from Melbourne, apart from a new coat. Because when I got to Melbourne, I realised I hadn't packed one, and Melbourne is bloody cold this time of year.
Yeah, it does get a bit nippy. I don't know, just, like, I'm sitting there looking at your coffee cup, you go, and here it is. It's like... that's literally, you could have been like rooting down the back of the couch for some change or something. It's like, and here's a 20-cent piece.
Well, I never said you had to bring fucking Fabergé eggs, man. Just something that could spark conversation.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
And they did, so what's your kerfuffle?
Well, I don't know, because I think they sparked as much conversation as we regularly have, and we got off point about as regularly as we do anyway.
You brought, like, 2 things from your desk.
No, I bought that Electronic Gaming Monthly for fucking 16 Earth money.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
This February edition. Well, perhaps we should just, like, draw pictures next time.
Yeah. Tune in next time for Gabe and Yahtzee play Pictionary.
that might be fun. That might be fun from an audio perspective, because it's just like wonder what the fuck we're drawing. Self-doubt, underpants, dinosaur warfare,
a dignified end.
Kind of want to do that now. Anyway, we're kind of like faffing around. Did you have another item?
Oh yeah, actually I do. All right, fair enough. Well, this one has some stories attached to it, and they are of moderate humorous value.
Let me just see how much time we've done.
Well, edit it down.
Yeah, we're coming up to like 52 minutes.
Alright, well this is relatively brief, this one.
Alrighty.
Alright, this is my Go card.
Okay, it's a Go card.
Yes, which gives me access to the wonders of Brisbane public transport.
See, now you're getting it. This was the coffee cup principle.
Well, I did say it was, it was my last sort of attempt. But yeah, this gives me access to Brisbane's public transport, and for the longest time before I managed to, nestle myself into this beautiful little rut out of which I will be dragged kicking and screaming, I had to ferry myself, hither and thither about on trains.
Yes.
And I do tend to prefer trains to buses because I've been on buses when they've just straight up missed turns and had to go off into weird fucking wilds of Brisbane suburbia, and getting out of there, you're more likely to face a minotaur than anything else.
I was, waiting for a bus in the city once, and the bus showed up, and I put out my hand.
Just kept right on going?
And I saw the driver actually acknowledge me, nodded or something, and then he just drove straight on past.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell am I supposed to think in this instance?
Yeah, it's like, well...
He clearly saw me. He clearly is supposed to stop here, but he just drove right on. He took one look at me and thought, fuck, to the floor. To the floor, Jeeves.
Fuck you, buddy. A message from Queensland Public Transport. But
anyway, you were saying...
Well, I mean... public transport's not so bad. It's the public that make it unpleasant.
Oh, yes.
Because you will interact with, unfortunately, some of the more peculiar and worst that you can locate milling about Brisbane's more genetically challenged outer suburbs. And I have a few anecdotes pertaining to this, and these are oldies, but fuck me, these are some good ones. Like back in 2007.
Just tell us one or two.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. There's only really two that are worth anything. Back in 2007, when I was doing, when I was still a studious type, I'd finished a late tutorial, was coming home, and this is like 9:30 at night, and I'm trotting down the stairs at Toowong Station, and the stairs at Toowong Station are really fucking steep.
I used to live in Toowong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, there you go, you know the area. Yeah, so the stairs at Toowong Station are ridiculously steep, so you can see people's feet, and they can see your feet before you've made any kind of eye contact.
Right.
Yes, now, I know you're wondering why I bothered to point that out, and that's because by the time I get to the bottom of the stairs, I realize that a pair of feet have been addressing me as though I'm aware I'm in a conversation. So, someone standing on the platform has just seen my feet walking down the stairs and started talking to me as though...
It's quite a surreal image you're creating there.
Oh, it gets worse. So, that should have been my first warning to just fucking keep walking. Now, my second warning was what they looked like. Now, the one that was actually addressing me looked like Gimli if you'd awkwardly shaved him with a bad razor all over and fed him on nothing but cheese slices for about 5 years. Like, he had a film on him. And,
film?
Yeah, like, it just...
What, like Dances with Wolves?
No, like, he was just shiny.
I know. I'm being facetious.
Oh, I get it. And anyway, he was sitting beside some giant hunchback, distant relative on the chair, and one of my favorite outer suburban things that you seem to... I don't know, I haven't seen it anywhere else, but it's full-grown, big fat adults on tiny BMX bikes. I fucking love that, because it's one of those things you only see in the outer suburbs. So again, these should have all been clues, but I'm sort of tired, I'm not paying attention. Someone's been addressing me, so I just look up and go, huh? And hairless Gimli just gestures towards one of the larger lumps on the bicycle, and just goes, and again, says this loud enough that it echoes around the train station, and we're not the only ones on the fucking train station. Says, he's 17, and he fucked a 24-year-old!
What?
Yeah. And I'm just like, and I look at this kid, and he's this pungent ball of, like, KFC and lethargy. He's wearing, like, this 50-cent jersey and trousers combo, and he has that same fucking gritty film like he just never seen a shower, and he sort of goes, and before I can even fucking just head down, keep walking, just don't make eye contact, run, he adds, he licked out her ass! Same fucking volume. Like, I hear ass twice because that shit's echoed.
What a very hygienic...
Yeah, and again, I'm
people.
looking at this kid and just going, what the fuck must this woman have been like to have thought he was worth it? And as I'm walking away, the only thing to go through my head as I'm just scrambling to kill every neuron associated with that fucking event was, that must have been like felching the septic tank of a gay cruise ship.
I remember there's a great Doug Stanhope routine on the internet where he was talking about, you know how, you have the stories of waking up next to an ugly person. Why are you never the ugly person in these stories?
Shit, I've woken up next to pretty people. Ah, crap. Fuck. God damn it.
I could probably I got a few homelesses on public transport stories myself. I got on a bus once when I was taking the bus to Highgate Hill, I believe. And, there's a few other people in the queue. I got on the bus, everyone pays, but while this one guy's paying, this, large homeless lady, bag lady, just gets on the bus, doesn't acknowledge the driver at all. This was before go-karts. And just takes a seat. And the driver looks at her and says, are you going to pay your fare or what? And the woman, and I swear, as she said this with a tone of voice implying that this was her explanatory argument for why she didn't have to pay.
Oh, goody.
And this is what she said. Blah, 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 blah.
She's a tireless supporter of Cthulhu.
Just this mysterious homeless dialect.
Kind of what you'd expect the, guild navigator from the Dune movie to be saying without a translation.
And the driver goes, just tries again.
Honestly, if I was that driver, I'd be like, yeah, I just, fuck it, don't care, don't want to deal with it.
In the end, just one of the other passengers got topped up and paid for.
Yeah.
And everyone else in the bus was thankfully, silently sanctifying that man. Although not very much, because it meant we had to share a bus ride with the woman.
Probably stunk like all hell.
Probably did.
Well, my second story is, again, just... It's one of those... Okay, have you ever walked into a room and everyone's been talking about you and then they go dead silent and you're immediately fucking paranoid because it's like some telepathic thing. You haven't heard your name. You really can't prove it, but it's like one of those little things. It's like human telepathy. You know something is amiss.
I used to have this running joke with this group of guys I used to hang out with. That one of them, when they left early, who generally would, the moment they were slightly out of earshot, I'd just go, "God, I hate him," and everyone burst out laughing. And one time he looked back at us, looking really paranoid.
Yeah,
after the peal of laughter,
as you would. But I mean, that's what, you know that sensation, that weird feeling you get, that kind of, you can't put your finger on it, it's, for lack of a better word, that human telepathy. It's just like, something's amiss. I got onto a train to that. And this is a carriage full of complete strangers and no one's looking at me, so I'm fucking confused as to why I've walked into this, telepathic...
It's him!
Yeah. No, that's the thing, no one's looking at me, so I'm worried, like, is this, like, what the fuck have I walked into? What's going on? So I go and take my seat, and then I realize why there's this bizarre unspoken tension in the carriage. And that's because there's two children loudly fighting over a chair.
Right.
And it's about kind of 4:45, so it's not exactly peak hour yet, but there's a lot of people on the train, enough that strangers are sitting next to each other, and... Everyone's like, I've just finished work, I just want to get the fuck home. Yeah. I don't want to put up with squabbling children.
Yeah, there's always this tension in the air when there's an angry argument going on in a public place.
Oh, I love that shit. But, so I follow all these accusatory glares back to this woman sitting on the double-seaters near the door. And I called her Bulldog Woman, because she looked
Not
like...
to her face, I presume.
No, but she looked like a Hessian sack that had been animated by some sort of Jewish golem magic. And her face was just flat. Like it had been whanged with a pan.
Like a pug.
Yeah, and every now and again she would honestly do that lip-licking thing that, bulldogs do when they have a bit too much saliva. Like, I'm not fucking joking. Yeah, just every now and then. Just did that. I thought she was sucking on a lolly or something. No, just excess drool. Anyway, these kids are fucking screaming. And this woman's, sitting there doing fucking... Like, not even looking at them.
Yeah.
And I mean, everyone's looking at her and I can hear the thoughts. It's like, just say something. We don't expect you to solve the problem. We just want you to at least acknowledge that a problem is occurring. Just say, shut up, you kids, or something like this. Anything. Anything,
yes,
please.
Yes.
Nothing happens. And finally, the big one beats the little one, and the little one runs back over to his mother, and the carriage kind of breathes a collective sigh of relief, and finally that bullshit's over.
Yeah.
The little kid picks up a toy, which is like this bullshit Transformers knockoff, and is currently neither car nor robot, but just a clusterfuck of eye-gouging spikes, and throws it across the carriage at his brother. And this thing's flying at eyeball height, like head height, past people. And you can just, the sound of teeth gritting. Just fucking do something, bitch. This is dangerous now. Fucking seriously. Say something, do something. Come on. Nothing happens for, 2 stations, and it's getting almost intolerable. Finally, we get to Graceful. And Bulldog Woman stands up on her mighty hind legs, and the little kid, who's actually won the chair, gets his shit together and runs back over. And he picks up his mother's got 2 things of shopping, and he picks up this big box of Dunkin' Donuts. And it's one of those cardboard boxes, so the bottom is just sort of folded in. Mm-hmm. Now, the step down to Graceful Station's pretty significant, so, the mother can take it fine, but the elder son with the box of Dunkin' Donuts does this big jump down. When he hits the ground, the bottom of the box of donuts just opens and the donuts go rolling everywhere. Now, the second that happens, the entire carriage just hears this. Doors closing. Please stand clear. Oh, Dylan, you fucking cockhead! Shh! And the whole carriage, the whole carriage goes... And then nothing, just dead silence for 5 seconds, and the train starts moving. And then suddenly everyone just starts talking to each other. We're just like, did you see that? What the fuck? Oh my god. And I'm trying not to laugh because that's a kid being called a cockhead by his mother in public. I'm sure that kid's not got a pleasant life. And, this is a reality that I'm aware of, so I'm like, oh, that poor fucking kid. But at the same time...
glimpse into the daily life of the other side.
But at the same time, it is fucking hilarious. And everyone else, it's like this, suddenly this whole carriage full of strangers has this one in-joke that we'll always remember. And this guy in front of me says to his girlfriend, did you see the look on that woman's face when the kid dropped the donuts? I bet if the donuts dropped the kid, she'd just be like, oh, don't worry, donuts. And then that was it. I fucking broke. I lost my shit and started laughing like a mad thing.
So, in conclusion, we've established that people making this podcast are paranoid, fearful, elitist, Doctor Who argumentative, passive-aggressive shits who
with family issues.
With family issues who delight in the misfortune of children. Thanks for listening. Good night.
Bye.
I think that was just quite a strong ending. Oh shit, how do you stop this? Oh no, it's still recording. Oh no.
Hear everything.
Oh no! You didn't hear that!